Hi. So, as you know, this course is going to focus on community and climate change. I want you to think about how you can affect change in your own community through the various readings and research and written assignments we will be doing throughout this semester. So, let's go over the course learning outcomes and figure out how those outcomes relate to climate change. So, as you can see, we have many course learning outcomes. These are located in your course document, all right? So the readings in this course will focus on climate change, specifically in one's local place or community. Focus on local, all right, allows us to address what's happening near our own homes and also how we could recommend a solution. The rhetoric here will be incorporating outside sources into your written assignments. So you can see we apply specific discipline specific rhetorical strategies to written and oral texts. We will be incorporating outside sources in our written assignments that deal with climate change. For composing, there will be two major writing assignments in this course: a short essay on one of the course readings and a grant request that will allow you to seek $250,000 to address climate change and a climate change related need in your community. The researching, depending on your pathway, if you're humanities or social sciences, you'll apply discipline specific research to locate sources that support your own claims. Your conventions will shift depending on the assignment. For example, we have discussion boards. They're very informal, conversational. And also we have these written assignments, the formal written assignments will need to be persuasive. And lastly, critical inquiry, how climate change is viewed and discussed within different disciplines. All right. So you want to think about values, ethics, and how those things are associated with climate change in the arts, humanities, and social sciences. So if we just do a simple Google search of climate change, we're overwhelmed with information. So you can see there's what 2 billion sources, right? In less than half a second. So a lot of them deal with right off the bat with United Nations, NASA. So we have some like scientific, social sciences sort of things, sources dealing with climate change, the effects, stories. So depending on how we go through, these are the top results. We could also go to images. You can see this very global, right? You can see global right here. Very global effects. Now we want to think about things a little bit differently. You can also look at the news, okay? Colombia, um, World Press Photo Contests, 600-year-old blueprint, okay? Just overwhelmed with sources, okay? The abundance of information is almost too much. So how do we focus this onto our specific community? That's kind of the question, okay? So let's define climate change and how we will use it in this course. So for this course, we're going to think of climate change as a phenomenon that affects the ecosystems within your specific localities, places, and communities. Now, of course, climate change is a global occurrence, a global phenomenon. But by focusing on your community, you'll gain a far deeper understanding and appreciation on how you can affect real change. So that's the key. We want to focus on your experiences. So the key of this course and some of the key of the definition of climate change is how you are experiencing it. That allows you to really focus your assignments on something that's important to you, not on a global scale. The bigger the scale, the more global the scale, the more difficult it is to tackle that kind of work. I'll give you an example. I live in a rural community in Chautauqua County, New York. Okay. My work, aside from being an English professor at MCC, is building trails throughout the county so we can try to become as climate resilient as possible. I'm working on cleaning up the waterways. I'm working on expanding our access to trails for horses, for hikers, for mountain bikers. Okay? I want people to get outside, experience nature, and enjoy the beautiful community that surrounds me here in Chautauqua County. So I work on that apart from my regular job. And it's important to me because it affects my life. Now, I wouldn't be as ecstatic about it if it was, I was working on something that was global. Now, that might be rewarding, but I'm not seeing those kind of changes. So again, focus on your experiences. So how do we begin? So we want to begin by thinking about your nightly news, your local nightly news. Watch those news stations. Okay, I know many of you probably don't even watch TV very much anymore. Most of your information comes from your smartphones, but a quick watch of your local news or a quick Google search of your local news might uncover some local issues with climate that's dealing with your community. Follow social media accounts that deal with local news and or the environment. Again, local. Okay, so for Chautauqua County, we have the Friends of Chautauqua County Greenways. We have the Visitors Bureau. We have a lot going on in Chautauqua County, and I'm sure there's plenty going on in Erie County, Monroe County, Ulster County, whatever, dealing with the environment with climate change. A simple Google search. Okay, so let's just do a quick Google search, climate change in Rochester. So you can see Rochester has a climate resiliency plan right here. You can also use Climate Check, which we will do in a minute. The Rochester Beacon has an article about it. So just by doing a quick Google search, you'll start to uncover local solutions, local problems, and how the community is seeking to address those problems through real change. You also want maybe have a conversation with your parents or grandparents. How has the local climate changed since they were your age? I'm sure that they can give you some stories. Okay? And of course, your own experiences, using your eyes, your ears, and just your sense of being in a place, in a locality, right? Do you see more rain happening? Do you see more drought happening? Are the temperatures hotter? Do you see certain diseases in the trees? Maybe invasive species? Again, think about those experiences and you'll begin to see how climate change is affecting your community. And of course, you can go to climatecheck.com to see how climate might affect your home. So I'll just type in real quickly here, Rochester, New York. And you can see how the climate change hazard ratings affect this particular community. Precipitation will be high. Heat, not so bad, but still high. Fire risk, relatively low. Drought, significant but not terrible. And flood risk, not too bad. Okay? So Rochester, for example, and many communities around the Great Lakes will be climate refuge cities in the next 25 to 35 years when things start getting really bad in other parts of the country. So, how do different disciplines address climate change? Well, we have the humanities. The humanities will deal with art, literature, poetry, philosophy, eco-criticism, environmental studies. Okay? I mean, you'll see murals of climate change maybe in your city. Obviously, there's poems dealing with climate change, and we'll address some of that this semester. In the social sciences, you have the psychological effects of climate change, demographics, dealing with actual people and how they move and how they react, politics, what policies are being put in place by local politicians to address climate change, and obviously the sociological effects, how society is being affected by climate change. Things are different in New York State than they are perhaps down in North Carolina along the shoreline of the ocean, where they're experiencing severe effects of rising seawaters. So if you have any questions about this topic, please shoot me a message on Brightspace. I'll be happy to talk about it with you.